Blackburn used to sit. And the one building remaining from it is the church on the ship. These days it hasn't got a village anywhere near it. It hasn't got a local congregation, but it's still open every day of the week. It has a service every Sunday morning, and its congregation these days are the fell walkers about to set off on the walk to our right hand side, because this is one of the starting points for Heldralin, the second highest peak in the Lake District. The lake itself, though, this is a testament to Victorian engineering, because Manchester is 96 miles away from here. That's about 160 kilometres thereabouts. And there isn't a single pump between here and Manchester. It's all fed by gravity, even though the fall in height is only 200 feet, or about 60 metres. So for every mile of pipework they installed, they only had a 2-foot drop to play with, and that took incredible engineering and planning skills. And of course that's what the Victorians were very good at. In metric, by the way, it's for every 1.6 kilometres they had a 60 centimetre drop. Really isn't a lot to play with. And all they needed to control it was a valve house, and that's what you see on our left hand side. But not just a simple little building, they actually made this look like a little castle. And that was or still does, control the flow of water between here and Manchester. Now the lake itself, if you're having a look out, it is actually very low at the moment, because you won't believe me when I say this, but we're actually suffering from a shortage of rain here in the Lake District. Even though it's been sort of wet for the last week or so, it's been very, very dry for the last 10 weeks, and that is having an impact on the level of the lakes. And Thirlmere is a classic example of it. You can see how low the water is. Normally it is right up to the bottom of the tree line, so it gives you some idea of just how low this lake is. This is called the Skiddaw Group, and it is a collection of mudstone fells. Mudstone, by the way, is what slate is derived from, and is the oldest part of the Lake District at some 500 million years old. The next stage that we're going through today, that's the Borrowdale Valley, and the Borrowdale is a little bit younger. That is about 450 million years old. And that's where the volcanoes actually created the fells, and the Lake District was actually created. And of course it was the glaciers that created the lakes, because they are the ones that gouged out the very depths that the water now sits in. Special to them. That's like a picture out of the Alps. Really is quite special. Blencathra, by the way, is a fell that has the dubious pleasure of having one of the easiest fell walks and also one of the hardest. The western side of Blencathra is quite a gentle slope, but the eastern side has a ridge called Sharp Edge. And Sharp Edge is one of the most dangerous fell walks in the Lake District. You won't be able to see Sharp Edge today because of the cloud, but like I say, it's part of Blencathra. Lakes here in the Lake District, and it's one we only get to see from a distance. But that is Bassenthwaite Lake just in front of us now. Now, Bassenthwaite Lake is one of the most ignored lakes in the Lake District, and it really is a shame because it's quite beautiful. But it's partly, I think, due to the fact that the A66, a very busy major road here, in fact the most busy road of all of them in the Lake District, and that runs along the shores of Bassenthwaite Lake, and I think it puts people off, which is a little bit of a shame because the other shoreline is absolutely wonderful, and it really is a very tranquil place with hardly anybody anywhere near it. But that's Bassenthwaite to our right. Right in front of us now, that's Derwentwater. And the little village on the other side that you can just see, that's Portinscale. It's all to do with the steepness of the road. If you don't pull out, I can't go up there. Here we go. Let's go and have a look. This leads to a little place called Ashness Fell, but right at the end is a place called What End Lath. And What End Lath means the barn at the end of the lane. And that is pretty much what there is at the end of this road. There is an old farm and a tea room, very little else. Like I said, we're not going to go right to the very end. We're just going to go about halfway up. But again, as a pack horse route, this would have been no wider than 2 horses, and it would have been, like I say, a loose surface. And it really does give you some idea of why they decided to have pack horses and not horse and carts here in the Lake District. There you go, have a look to your right hand side. We are coming back, so you will see it if you're on the left hand side of the bus as well. But lovely view.
Is it possible to take pictures here?
Yeah, I can pull it.
Thank you. It's where they do that fly fishing. So if you've got a fly rod, you can actually pop up there, pay your fee for the day and go out fishing without any problem. But you can fish on just about any of the lakes free of charge. You do need a rod license, a standard license, but apart from that you can go out and fish as much as you want on most of the lakes in the Lake District. You are talking to very, very wealthy people, and they expected quality, service and opulence, and that is what the Lador was all about. So it was in its day a very fine Victorian hotel, and today, well, they're still investing for the future because they recently built a brand new spa building to replace the old one. This one's quite magnificent. You'll see it as we go past. Whilst you can tell it's a brand new building, it is absolutely wonderful, and it has a fully heated outdoor infinity pool. You can sit in there as long as you want. It's all nice and cosy and warm, and you look out over the surface of Derwent Water. So have a look at this building as we go past. This is the new spa building on our left. You should see the infinity pool just in front of it. That should be appearing now. And if you look to your right, ignore the land that we can see, but all they see is water from that pool. It really is quite spectacular. And like I say, it's a rather unique swimming pool here in the Lake District. It's the only one I know of. So you can often see this area full of water. And when you do, well, that little bridge sits in the middle of a lake. And it really is a very unusual sight. Now there's another hotel coming up. It was built by the Victorians, and this was for the lower middle classes. And you can see when you look at it the difference in, well, the way they look, just the way they look. The Lador has this feeling that it was aimed at people with money, whereas this one is more about just about anybody could stay there. So like I say, it's a very different look, and they were built for very different classes of society. The word Thwaite instantly indicates that it's got a Viking connection. And the word was the name of an outdoor bounce centre in this valley. And Glaramara Outdoor Bounce came up with a brand new activity, probably going back 20-30 years ago. But they invented something called gill scrambling. Now, a gill is a river flowing downhill. It's a Viking word again. It's slightly different from a waterfall, because a waterfall is generally free falling, whereas a gill is mostly in touch with the ground. And to scramble, well, it means to move along by whatever method you can. So you can be walking along on your feet, you can be on your hands and knees, you can be on your belly, your back, your side, you can be scraping your way along with your fingernails and toenails. All of that is scrambling. Put the two together and it is to climb up a river flowing downhill. And that's what the F1 is one of the things that we do at Glaramara. And if you ever see people doing it, they're mostly youngish people, sort of between the ages of about 11 and 25. But if you see people doing it, well, the only way to describe them is they look like drowned rats, because they're absolutely drenched, they're soaked through to the skin. The cold, the wet, the shivering, they look almost awful, but they've got big beaming smiles on their faces, because it's an incredible achievement to have completed one of Glaramara's gill scrambles. And we're going to travel up the side of one of the rivers that they use as we start our climb, Seathwaite. Seathwaite is the, let's have a look at this guy on our right hand side. This is a male herdwick. They're called tups. Look at those horns, aren't they wonderful? Well, like I say, that's a male herdwick. Herdwicks are a native sheep. We saw a couple of ladies before, but in the Lake District, the males are known as tups, and they really are quite magnificent creatures. Byron, they'd be more than happy to arrange it for you. But if you see a waterfall, they don't get out and walk around. They climb up the waterfall as well. So like I said, keep a look on that stream and see if you fancy giving it a go yourself. you go. Anybody fancy going for a gill scramble? No? Well, I've got to agree with you. You wouldn't get me doing it. It's too wet, it's too cold. No, not my idea of fun at all. Oh, by the way, just have a look at the heathers that are all in flower at the moment. They're lovely little plants, tiny flowers. But this purple, you can occasionally see it right at the top of the fells to a purple colour for about 2 weeks of the year. And we're at that stage at the moment. So if you get a chance, try and have a look up and see if you can pick out any of these purple flowers right near the top of the fells. But we're heading on now to Honister Slate Mine, just about to go over a cattle group. We're heading on now to Honister Slate Mine, and this was bought in the 1990s by a gentleman called Mark Weir. And Mark had this idea that he wanted to create a very special tourist destination. He wanted an active mine or quarry that was still mining slate today. He wanted people to understand how hard it was to be a miner at Honister, and he wanted people to understand the history of that. And he also wanted something that was totally unique, not being done anywhere else in the Lake District. Now, Mark, very sadly, had an accident one day. His idea of getting to work was to fly in on his helicopter. One night when he was flying back home, it all went tragically wrong. And very sadly, he crashed and he was killed in an accident. But his partner Jan, his brother and his mother continued his dream. And between them they created Honister.com. It is still an active quarry. They still quarry slate here today. They still make lots of things like work surfaces for kitchens, house signs, all sorts of things. And it's also a place where you can learn about how difficult mining was. They do mine tours here. You would have to come back on another day to actually do a tour. They take too long for us to be hanging around. But you can learn about how dangerous and difficult mining actually was. And this was all to celebrate Mark's grandfather, who was actually a miner here at Honister. And they also have something called the Via Ferrata. The Via Ferrata is a Latin word, and it means steel road or iron road. And what it is two wires. One that you walk on and the other that you hang on to. There is a third wire that you clip your safety harness to, but the official Via Ferrata is just 2 wires. And it stretches across the top of Fleetwood Pike, some 2,000 feet above sea level and over 1,000 feet above the floor of the valley below. It was all started by English spies in World War I. They wanted a way to get around the Alps without anybody finding them, and they installed these ropes that they would use to walk on. So that was the inspiration of the Via Ferrata. And again, if you wanted to give it a go, you can come back and actually book yourself in for that rather special, unique experience. I won't be with you. I don't have a fear of heights, but I've got to say the thought of walking on one wire does not thrill me. So it's not something that I'll be going. I'd happily do the mine tours, but you won't get me doing the Via Ferrata. So we're going to have a break at Honister. The good news is there's washrooms here and they're free of charge. To find the washrooms, just enter the main building. There'll be a tunnel in front of you. Enter the tunnel. The ladies are on your right. Keep going for the gents, they're around the back. And they're on your right as well when you get to the back of the building. But there's also a little shop at the back of the building there.